what happens with democracy? I claim that our strategy towards liberals shouldn't be this old Marxist game, oh, it's only a formal democracy or whatever, but don't they see how the tendency I see is not only the loss of, more and more radical loss of substance of democracy, which is spreading from the east to the west, what is poetically called capitalism with Asian values. Forget Asia, I think it's a general tendency. Take Italy. I'm more and more convinced if you want to analyze Europe today, you should start with Italy, where you have somebody like Joe Berlusconi, who is someone like, I would say, Jack Nicholson, the Joker in Batman in power. I mean, something is happening, and we all laugh at him, but he is changing democracy into an empty performance. The left is totally break down. So the lesson here, our lesson to liberals should be, are you aware that without our radical leftist help, you will not be able even to protect what little we have of democracy, with all the ominous background of, I'm here consciously ironic, of the 68 Soviet intervention in Czechoslovakia. Liberals should be aware that they need our brotherly help, as they put it, to save their own ideals. Only we can save them. But as you pointed out, the situation is critical. Why? Yes, capitalism doesn't work, a crisis, and so on. But to refer to Naomi Klein, there is always a danger, and more than a danger, that crisis can be used as a shock therapy, even to ideologically reinforce the system. But just to conclude, nonetheless, I think I want to finish with an anecdote and then with a final short story. We can count on unexpected allies in this struggle. The fate of, maybe some of you, if you are old enough, know the name Viktor Kravchenko, the Soviet diplomat who, in 1944, while in New York, defected to the West and then wrote a famous best-selling memoir, I Chose Freedom, is worth mentioning here. This book is the first substantial report on the horrors of Stalinism, beginning with a detailed account of the forced collectivization and mass hunger in Ukraine, where Kravchenko himself participated in enforcing collectivization. But now comes the mystery. The publicly known story about Kravchenko ends in 1949 when he triumphantly won the big trial against his Soviet accusers in Paris, who brought to court even his ex-wife to testify to his corruption, alcoholism, and so on and so on. So that's what is publicly known about Kravchenko, the Cold War Western icon, the first great anti-communist. But what is much less known is that immediately after this victory, when Kravchenko was hailed all around the world as a Cold War hero, he got deeply worried about the McCarthy anti-communist witch hunt and issued warnings that such a way to fight Stalinism courts the danger of starting to resemble its opponent. He also became more and more aware of the injustices of the Western world, and after writing a much less known sequel to I Chose Freedom, significantly entitled I Chose Justice, nobody talks about this book, Kravchenko engaged in a crusade to find a new, less exploitative mode of the organization of production. This led him, it's deeply symbolic, to Bolivia, where in the late 50s he put and lost all the money he earned from his anti-communist bestseller into organizing poor farmers into new collectives. Crushed by the failure of his endeavors, he withdrew into private life and shot himself in the early 60s, suicide in his home in New York. His suicide was due to his despair, not to some dark KGB blackmail. A proof that Kravchenko's denunciation of the Soviet Union was a genuine communist act of protest against injustice. We need people like this, people who, being for the enemy, go through and see where they stand, where we stand. In the good old days, now comes the dirty conclusion, I warn you, it's really dirty. In the good old days of really existing socialism, a joke was popular among dissidents. A joke used to illustrate the futility of their protests. In the 15th century Russia, occupied by Mongols, that's the joke. A farmer and his wife walk along a dusty country road. A Mongol warrior on a horse stops at their side and tells the farmer that he will now rape his wife. He then adds, but since there is a lot of dust on the ground, you should hold my testicles while I'm raping your wife so that they will not get dirty. After the Mongol finishes his job and rides away, the farmer starts to laugh and jump with joy. The surprised wife asks him, how can you be jumping with joy when I was just brutally raped? The farmer answers, but I got him, his balls are full of dust. This sad joke tells of the predicament of dissidents. They thought they were dealing serious blows to the party nomenclatura, but all they were doing were, well, getting a little bit of dust on the nomenclatura's testicles. Is today's critical left all too often not in a similar position? We think we are doing something terribly subversive. We are just. Our task is to discover how to make a step further. Our thesis 11 today should be, critical leftists have hitherto only dirtied with dust the balls of those in power. The point is to cut them off.